So spring is really here. Spring's really here. Although I'm not a huge dandelion person, I gotta say this patch of dandelions looks fairly nice. Alright everyone, so welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another day and another video. One question or comment I consistently got on my community page was kind of talking about my history with reselling and how I got into this business. So I'm going to try to address some of that and address some of those questions and comments in the future as well. There's been a handful of comments and questions on that community page. If you guys haven't already, check that out. Drop a comment on maybe what you might want to see, and I'll kind of get into my whole reselling experience that I've had throughout my whole life and what I kind of got involved in and how I got involved in it and why I did. So I'll go back to the earliest memory of flea market, that is. I'll go back to my earlier memories of flea market, and the first memory I kind of remember is when I had to be 5 or 6 years old, and my dad woke me up probably about like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we drove to a flea market. And I don't remember which flea market it was. I think it was Lee Sport, but I can't remember. It could have been Brimfield. There was some small little things I remember. Like, I don't know, maybe people feel the same way. They have these certain memories. It's like fragile. They have these certain memories of like their life or their childhood, and it's always just like an image. So I remember kind of like one or two images here. Like one was being in the car, and the other one was being on the second floor of some sort of either an elevated surface, like an outdoor, I don't know, patio, or on a hill, and there was a bunch of dealers set up. I remember somehow my thing that I collected was sports cards, but only hockey cards. That's the only sport I remember collecting, and that's what we did. We went to flea markets, or I would say garage sales and yard sales, but we really didn't go to garage sales or yard sales. However, I went to flea markets with my dad, and I would always buy sports cards, and he would always buy antique hose nozzles. And these are very niche markets, because you can go to a flea market now and you'll probably see some sports cards, but not hockey cards, which I collected. And hose nozzles, I mean, you gotta look through like a bunch of box lots of antique brassware and stuff like, of that category or hardware, to find a hose nozzle. But that was what he collected, and I collected sports or hockey cards. So that was kind of my earliest memories of flea markets that I can remember. Moving through middle school, I don't really remember too much. I do remember playing with Legos in elementary school. That was like my toy that I played with when I was a kid. Some people had action figures. I had Legos. So that was kind of my younger days. Going into high school is when I kind of started doing reselling. I got into thrifting. You guys might have heard me talk a little bit about the thrift store in Easton, where it kind of started it all. I used to go to that thrift store and pick up sports jerseys. So I remember picking up a handful of jerseys, and every single time I went to that store, I would find something for either 95 cents or $1 or $2. 95 cents or $1, it's only 5 cents more, but like $1, $2, $3. And I would take this jersey, which was kind of what I kind of liked the most, or sports jerseys, and I would sell it on eBay within a week or so. But I'd sell it for like 30 or 40 bucks. And this was kind of before eBay was really popular. And I kind of told myself from that age, like, look, this is pretty easy. I mean, I don't know a lot, but I know about sports jerseys, and I'm in high school. So if I put my mind to this and learned a lot about different brands and different styles, the sky could be the limit here with this whole eBay thing. So that kind of got me involved into eBay and kind of got me thinking. Throughout high school, I ended up selling all my Legos. I still have a couple sets remaining, but I used to just play with like the individual, like open Legos. You throw them in a bin, you build what you want. So I ended up selling that. I learned a ton about what Legos were in demand. I was selling minifigs for like $5, $6. That was kind of my whole eBay thing, was sports jerseys and Legos. I learned an absolute ton. It was kind of like a changing point in my mind where I was like, look, there's so much stuff to learn out there. How can I not make this into a business? So I went through the whole high school phase. I went to college. For business management. In my mind, in college, my intentions were to start my own clothing company, my own clothing line outside of college, out of college. that's what I kind of wanted to go to school for, is kind of learn about business and be self-employed in that way. When I was into school, buying and selling was still kind of a thing in my mind. Our club football team, since we didn't have a varsity football team, ended up getting a huge donation from another school. I'm talking football cleats, football pads, shoulder pads. I can't tell you how many wide receiver gloves, and we didn't even have a club football team until my senior year, and they got all the stuff sophomore year. And they were just like, if you've been to college and you don't have a varsity football program, you don't really have a lot of people who would wear 4XL or 5XL football gloves. You just don't. If you have a club football team, you're going to have a lot of people who are probably 6 foot or 6'1" or 6'2", but you don't have those 6'7" or 6'8", 300-pound linemen that you just don't. For some reason, it just doesn't happen. Because those people and those people who are athletically gifted usually go to some sort of school for football, especially if you're into that. So we had so much gloves and so many shoes. Like cleats were like size 17 and 18, and they were just going to chuck it out. And I told them, like, look, I will sell this stuff for 50%. You guys can keep 50%. I will list it. I will sell it. I will ship it as long as I get 50%. And they're like, yeah, that's great. Take what you want. So I ended up selling, I can't even tell you how many, maybe 100 football gloves, 50 football, 75 football gloves by the pair for like $12, $15 free shipping on eBay. I was funded for all my extracurricular activities throughout college by buying or by selling these football gloves. Not even cleats. The cleats weren't even worth that much. The gloves somehow were worth money. Some gloves were like the specialty gloves for some reason. I guess it was either the lineman or the receiver gloves. What was it? I guess running backs have their own gloves. I don't know. One of the gloves were like $45 a pair. It was a wild time. So that was kind of telling me in my mind, where I was like, look, there are just so many avenues here with this reselling thing where I just don't see how you can't make it into a full-time career. So I went through college. I did that. After I graduated college, the whole clothing line thing started up. I started up my own company. I can't tell you how much money I invested into it, and I just wasn't prepared. The clothing was just cheap material. I was charging too much. I did not have models to model the clothing. I didn't have somebody who do the social media management. Like, I was doing everything, and I was making like a t-shirt sale every 2 or 3 days. It was terrible. So I ended up stopped doing that. I went for a couple job interviews. I moved back from Virginia. I did a couple job interviews. I felt I aced them. I had all the experience and education in terms of how to handle the questions, and I was really confident. I wasn't nervous. But I just never got a call back. It was kind of unfortunate in a way, but it kind of told me, like, hey, look, you don't have to work for someone else to be successful. Go back to doing the buying and selling thing. And you had this opportunity in high school where you'd go to thrift stores and you'd make, $100 in 30 minutes. Why don't you just take that to the next level? And so I did that. I was busting my butt, I was selling, but in my mind, I only kind of knew a little bit about certain categories, so that's all I focused on. Eventually, I got deeper and deeper into learning about different kind of things. I then got into doing Etsy, where I was buying pretty much shirts that on eBay wouldn't sell because there was no subject matter, but they were the right category that would sell on Etsy. So I was buying these shirts for like $1 or $2 and flipping them on eBay or Etsy for like $10 to $15. They weren't, $40 or $50 shirts. And you'll see on Etsy, if you could sell something online on some sort of site for 40 or $50, you can probably get around that ballpark figure on different avenues of selling it, on different platforms. So I was taking the stuff that wouldn't sell on eBay and putting on Etsy and making myself, every single time I went to a thrift store, at least $100 on just stuff that was worth pretty much nothing, but it had the right subject matter, whether it be, a blank vintage t-shirt or it was a certain sports team. It just would sell for some reason. By doing all that and putting in all the hard work and hard efforts and long hours on Etsy, you eventually build a platform large enough where you fall into the algorithm, which is one thing with Etsy, is if you were in there first, you can really succeed. That is one platform I would say is like the biggest with the algorithm thing, is Etsy. So I could pretty much, at the time, would be able to sell anything. And I kind of like learned that. It kind of taught me more about the business and how you get rewarded for what you're willing to do. But I kind of wanted to keep on doing more things on eBay. So I ended up doing eBay more. I ended up going to auctions, like local auctions, and buying stuff from auctions, like a box lot, for just like 1 or 2 items that I'd sell on eBay for like $20. So I'd pay like $4 for a box lot, sell it for 20 bucks. And I'd end up with like so much random junk. I mean, random junk. Like a box which will have some sort of, you know, antique tin can that I'd get $20 for. And then I have like a broom, like a small dustpan broom, a half a package of sponges, an old croquet ball, like just like so much random stuff in the box. And I was like, what do I do with this? So I take that to the flea market. I started doing the flea market. I only went probably 3 or 4 times the first year. And almost everything sold. I mean, like literally, I'd bring half a package of sponges and sell for $1, or a croquet ball and get like $2 for it. And before you know it, that whole box I spent $4 on, I would have sold $5 worth. So I got 20 bucks for the stupid can online, and I got $5 for the remaining junk that was in the box. So I was like, wow, I can't lose money here. And it was such a great opportunity there. And I was like, why can't I just take this to the next level as well? So I was buying like so many box lots because I knew I could make money on one thing and then I could break even. So it was pretty much like free money as long as I wanted to waste away, you know, a day on the weekend or whatever day the flea market was open. As long as I wanted to waste that day away, I can make my money back and pretty much get free money from whatever I bought and sold from the auction from that one item. So I eventually built like a platform at the flea market with buying and selling, and certain people would buy certain things, or they'd ask me, hey, do you have this? Hey, do you have that? And there's one guy, and this kind of got me to the next level of flea marketing, and it even got me into YouTube. I had this one guy who would always buy baseball bats, and I touched base on this a couple times in videos, and I bought 4 baseball bats for $2, so it was 50 cents a piece. And I only bought those bats because I knew this guy would give me $2 a bat. I was going to a flea market that weekend, so I bought the 4 bats for $2. I was going to make $6. I was going to be happy. But one thing I did in my earlier days is every single box lot I would buy at an auction, regardless of how many box lots I got, I would bring in my house and check every single item on eBay before I sold it for $2 or $3 at the flea market. If I could sell it for $10 or more, I would. So I checked each bat. I couldn't find anything on it, so I listed each bat for like $14.99 auction style. I ended up selling one bat for like $20, one for $50. And then the third bat of the 4, because the 4th bat didn't sell for $14.99. The third bat I ended up selling for $2,550, which was like a wow changer because there was no history on this. I couldn't find anything on it. And it turned out to be Stan Musial's game used bat from either his rookie year or his like AL MVP year or some crazy thing from the 50s, I believe. But I think it was his rookie year was like the final straw in the hat, or however that expression goes. But I ended up making $2,550 on this baseball bat. This baseball bat, I was going to sell for $2. I paid 50 cents for it. But I sold it for $2,550. And the main point here, and the main point of reselling is, I would have never bought that bat, and I would have never made that $2,550 if I did not do flea market. If I didn't do a flea market, like I would say 90 to 95% of resellers out there do not sell at a flea market. They either donate the stuff back, or they just don't sell it and they just hoard onto it, or they might have a garage sale. If I did not do flea market, like almost every single other person out there who does buying and selling, I would never made that money. I would have never learned more about baseball bats. I would never learn more about this. I never learned about that. I then ended up using that money where a lot of people who might not be self-employed, where a lot of people would probably go out and be like, oh, you know, I made all this money. Oh, it's free money, this, that. Let's go on a vacation. Let's go experience this. Hey, let's buy this. Oh, I wanted this. Oh, let's go to a sporting event. I ended up using that money and putting it back into my business. I went out and bought a Chevy 1998 cargo van, as you guys might remember from my first videos. Broken arm pull and all, busted outside. Kind of hard to believe that this vehicle has caused me so much stress in my life, but it's time to move on. I'm not going to miss that at all. Probably my first 100 or 200 videos, I had that cargo van. that was pretty much my 50-cent investment got invested into a cargo van. Now, it had its issues, but it turned my flea market business into selling a tarp full of dollar items into selling, I can't tell you how many box lots of random stuff and how much, extra items I was able to buy at auctions because, hey, look, if you can take everything in this row for $2, you can have it. And no one else had a cargo van at that auction, so you can take the whole row for $2 because you have to take everything. And there's got to be $200 or $300 worth of inventory there, and just because I have the cargo van, I can purchase that. So it was definitely a long-term investment in terms of my mind. It's one of those things I look back on my life and I'm like, wow, I made a right choice there. I made a right decision by buying that, and not just blowing away that $2,500 on something that I probably would have enjoyed and would have looked back on and be like, wow, that was a great experience. But I ended up investing it back into my business. I now do pretty much flea markets full time. I still do online sales. And then even branching off that whole reselling thing is like, I would have never started YouTube if I didn't have a van, because I cannot do everything with my Jeep Liberty at the time. I could not do anything except for maybe thrifting, but I couldn't do trash picking. I couldn't do storage auctions. By far, you can't do storage auctions if you don't have a large enough vehicle to transport this stuff or be willing to kind of rent a vehicle. So pretty much by that, I was able to start doing YouTube as well, if you kind of go back the whole line. So I definitely suggest, like, if you're into reselling, a lot of people get into reselling for different reasons. Some people don't even want a boss. Some people want to wake up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock rather than waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Whatever reason it is, as long as you continue to be successful, or at least push out some sort of way of life that you can continue to sustain, it's always a way. For me, it's obviously, I love the treasure hunt of reselling. I love being able to find new things and learn new things and then be rewarded for my education and my experience and my hard work and how much I'm willing to invest. That's what I love about reselling, is like you are rewarded for all the sort of things that would make you successful in life. Very, very few people are successful or millionaires or something by not investing a single dollar, or investing a single hour into whatever it is. It's not like, I see a lot of people get into reselling and do all this stuff because they want to find $1 million item. Well, I hate to break it to you, it's like winning the lottery. It might happen, but it's not going to happen. I think it's been something that's very true to me, is that, continuously putting out time and continuously putting out effort and, whatever it might be, has definitely been rewarding in its way. So that's why I enjoy reselling. That's kind of my whole history on it, in terms of everything has kind of got me to this point of doing reselling things on eBay or flea markets or Etsy. That's kind of the whole story behind it, and how Taco Stacks kind of formed in a way. It's amazing how many different steps in life can kind of get you to where you are. If I go back, I guess I would, I don't even know what I would do. I don't know if I would skip college, because there's a lot of things I learned in school that kind of gave me the motivation as well as the understanding of a different way of life. It's just, everything kind of leads to a different point, and it's kind of by what path you choose to go down. And I think reselling is definitely something that's rewarding, and you can make the right choices here and you can make the wrong choices here, and you can learn from them and see where it goes. So that's definitely reselling 101. Obviously you can grind out a lot of hours, but eventually you want to grind out the right kind of categories to work on and the right kind of categories to sell and invest in and learn about. And the more you learn, the more successful you'll be. And I think there's a lot of different careers out there that you can learn a lot, you can work a lot of hours, and you can't be rewarded, either psychologically or economically. You just can't be rewarded for that. So that's my whole reselling thing. I'm going to be signing off here. If you guys haven't checked out my community page, or you guys want to, drop a comment over there and let me know what you guys might want me to show you guys in terms of film, or different kind of genres or topics to film, or if you guys want to do another sit-down talk. I know I've got a lot of kind remarks about these sit-downs, and you guys can listen to the birds. It's kind of background noise. So let me know over there what you guys want to see or hear. Thank you guys for coming along for another adventure, and until next time, have a great day. Keep living the dream. Peace.